Guys, it is time for another Elder Scrolls 6 video. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down comments made by the CEO of Xbox, Asha Sharma, as it relates to a recent live gameplay test that she saw inside Bethesda Game Studios headquarters. So this is a big moment, but also I want to preface this by saying she says a lot of things that are very, very up in the air as far as the community is concerned right now. I've seen Reddit threads, I've seen X forums, I've seen all kinds of dialogue back and forth on how genuine is her, basically take on the game, The Elder Scrolls 6, and is it just all mouthpiece, or is there some truth to what she's saying? So we're going to dive into that in this video. So sit back, get comfy, and get ready to dive right in. So guys, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory here too. Matt Booty, who is the CCO of Xbox, actually recently made comments as well about the game. And he sat with Todd Howard, and he saw Elder Scrolls 6 running for himself. And according to his assessment, he said it looks amazing and it's coming along well. Now, that was about 2 months ago. This actually happened yesterday, August 11th. So Asha's comments are very recent. And so Asha goes on to talk about the game, and she talked about the live playthrough of the Elder Scrolls 6, 8 asterisks, by the way, which we are going to get into this morning. The scale and grandeur are incredible. The story is even greater. So that is a line right there that has a lot of people in the community divided, because they're like, well, Bethesda's not known for their incredible stories. They're known for other things. And I know we go back and forth on what is Bethesda known for today? What is their bread and butter? And I can say that there is still a good degree of environmental storytelling, but those days of their environmental storytelling in the past have not shown through quite as brightly in the last couple entries. So I think we got to take some of that with a grain of salt. But if we're digging into the story being more incredible than the scale and grandeur, a lot of people are saying, well, the scale and grandeur must be ass, for all intents and purposes. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think with a game like this, Bethesda are going to go all out on the environment, on the world building. With how long the game has been in a development cycle, I'm not worried about the scale and grandeur of the world that Elder Scrolls 6 takes place in. What does have me concerned, though, is the fact that she's going in to say, and this is verbatim, the story is even greater. Because that is an extremely bold comment. And, we saw in the past with Phil Spencer, he would go out and get a little lip service going to get the community hyped up for these Bethesda games and these titles. And I want to make sure that as we're looking at this, I want to be excited for the game. I'm truly looking forward to it. But I don't want to get myself overhyped for what could be a letdown. I loved Starfield. I'm going to go back. You're going to see this in all my videos. I thoroughly enjoyed Starfield, but the game is not what it could have been. And I think, you look at a game like Crimson Desert, and where there are a lot of issues at launch, sure, but the way they handled that game post-launch has been no short of amazing, in my opinion. And I think that Bethesda here, they need to really launch a good title on day one, and then use the feedback within the first couple months to make sure that they're making tweaks, improvements, quality of life changes on a good schedule to really make sure that the fandom comes together on this and says, yeah, wow, this game is a great success. Because they need that. They need this win. So a lot of the original Sharma posts were corroborated by multiple people. So today, we're seeing a lot of different groups report on her statements as of the game. And I think another thing too, and let's talk about 8 asterisks. Okay, so we're going to go back to, she says, the Elder Scrolls 6 followed by 8 asterisks. So that leaves people wondering, okay, what could this title be then? Because a lot of people are thinking it's got to be Hammerfell. You look at that teaser back from 2018, and it's like Hammerfell seems to be where everybody's mind was going. High Rock was another thing. So if you look back at a video of mine, from, I think it was October of last year, with some leaks surrounding the game. We're like, Hammerfell, but I also mentioned High Rock, because it's like the two could go hand in hand in one game. Some people have been talking on a Reddit thread, and they're leaning towards Sentinel being the possible title of the game, which, with the game surrounding the Iliac Bay and some lore around the Iliac Bay, which I'm not super informed about, but it sounds like Sentinel is one of those highly speculative titles that some people are leaning towards. So if you look at that, you look at High Rock, which is also 8. I mean, I think if you put the space in, technically you'd have 9 asterisks, but High Rock, 8. And if they're not counting the space as 1 just to be a little bit of a throw off from the studio, I could see that. But High Rock's not a massive province, and that's where it would. I'm not thinking that would be the title of the game, but I don't know. Sentinel, there's another thing that people kind of corroborate on that theory, which was an old Starfield Easter egg, actually. And during the character creation, you're given an employee ID number. And if you take that number and group it into pairs, with each number corresponding to its place in the alphabet, A is 1, B is 2, etc., it perfectly spells out Sentinel. And people thought that seemed way too unlikely just to be a coincidence. So, that is intriguing in itself too, and I think there's something to be said about this possible title for the game. Now, obviously, there's some lore that would have to tie in with the Iliac Bay and the Sentinel, and I'm not super informed on what that could be, but it sounds like other people have done a lot of lore diving to determine that. So check the link in the description for this thread where some people are actually going through and talking about why they think it is Sentinel. There's a lot, though, to unpack, and it's only brief commentary, but it kind of paints a picture of where this game's release is moving towards. So obviously in the past we had Phil Spencer and Todd Howard talking about the Elder Scrolls 6 and the development cycle and how that's been moving. And then we saw Matt Booty a couple months ago talking about a little bit of what he saw, saying that it looks amazing. Play tests are currently going. We've known that for several months from Todd Howard. And now we talk about this Asha Sharma comment. And one thing that I do want to kind of inject here, and this is my own speculation, so this is purely speculative, but they have kind of put the fire under Bethesda as it relates to getting these titles released. Xbox is like, guys, we paid a fortune to acquire this studio. We want to see those benefits, reaped here. So to that end, you guys need to do what you're supposed to do, which is make games. So a lot of people have been discussing that pretty heavily. And by making these games, ideally that means let's get this title launched. Now, of course, I don't want a half-baked game, but it does sound like with some of the restructuring and the working together of studios kind of within Bethesda, ZeniMax, and even Obsidian, I could actually see behind the scenes, and I know there's tons of NDAs that are being signed in the industry around what's happening in Bethesda Game Studios and in Xbox right now. But I could absolutely see there being a little bit of assistance with other game developers coming in to help get this project finished. And I mean, I don't say that lightly. I really think there are some movement, in the underlayers of what's going on in these studios saying, guys, Elder Scrolls 6, we need to get this game launched. We need it to be well received. It is all hands on deck. Let's make this happen. So I could absolutely see this happening to help expedite that launch window. Now, I'm not going to say, yeah, guys, it's getting launched this fall, because that's certainly not going to happen. But, guys, I would not be surprised if we didn't see a fall of 27 or even potentially a spring of 28 release. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that's completely out of control. What a wild take, Jabber. And to that I say, they've been talking about this game so much, then they stopped talking about it because it's kind of taboo now. It's been 8 years since the original teaser video. And it's coming to bite Bethesda in the behind, and it's actually hurting Xbox too. So what better way to build and restore faith back in the fandom than having this game get launched in a decent time frame? And now it's decent relative to the recent talk and jazz up about the game, but it's not decent in terms of the 8-year teaser window. So I really do think that there's a chance we see that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you've made it this far, thank you. I'm glad you're here watching along and trying to figure and navigate this out with me. I'm so excited to learn more about this title. And one other comment I do want to make, and I think this is super important, which is that the game is one of those things that they're not going to say, guys, we are not showing you the game until it's coming. So that sentiment that Bethesda's had for the past, couple decades remains true. At this point, they don't want to show a gameplay teaser until it's about to come out the door. So when we do finally see something, that's going to be monumental because it means the game is right around the corner. So if we don't hear or see much in the coming months, I wouldn't be too concerned by that because I think now with all this publicity, that kind of says, okay, we got to get moving because now we are talking about it. We are ramping up on this. And once we see more official reveals on the game, that means that it is coming and it's going to be coming quick. So thank you guys for being here. I've been Jabber1, and if you guys have comments, let me know below. Otherwise, I cannot wait to see you in the next video. So until next time, well met, travelers.